Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back once again, and for the very first time, to the Thoughts and Crap Show. And today, as per usual, it's your host Danjo here with a quick little list for you guys. I'll try to keep it quick, but basically, I wanted to make a list of every type in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and which Pokemon are kind of best, in my opinion, for soloing Tera raid battles. Now, if you're in the post game like I am, you are probably going to be doing these a lot to get your Pokemon all kinds of lucrative items, to make credits, to buy vitamins and that sort of thing, to get your IVs and EVs and everything else perfect, and get your Pokemon very much as strong as they can be. So here's the TLDR list for you guys if you just want to write it down or screenshot it or whatever. And if you don't need all the explanation, and let's get to the explanation because that is going to take a while and I'm going to try to be quick about it. So let's go ahead and get into that. Now, let's go to the boxes. We recently got a massive update for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, basically just improving tons of things in the game, so a lot of people are getting back into it, and I was like, I should probably make a video about this because I've been doing this post-game stuff for a while, and I have a few things to say about it. So, first of all, getting multiple Pokemon up to level 100 and maxed IVs and EVs gets very expensive, so the best way to make money in the game pretty much is without glitches, that is to say, doing these raid battles. Also, if you want to change the Tera type of your Pokemon, you are also going to need a lot of Tera shards, specifically 50 for a single Pokemon to change its Tera type to a most beneficial Tera type. So, let's get to the actual Pokemon. The first one is Normal, and why would you use Normal? Or raid battles, it's not super effective on anything. Well, if you want to, I would use Braviary. And why? Braviary has Sheer Force. Sheer Force stacks with a little item called Life Orb to give you a pretty much plus 70% to base power for affected moves. Affected moves such as Sky Attack, Crush Claw, Air Slash. Air Slash goes off if it's special, not as good, but can be good in certain situations. Hone Claws to increase the physical attack power. Now he's holding the Hardstone right now, that's not recommended, that's just because the Life Orb is being held by a different Pokemon, which I'll get to later. The big one here is Sky Attack. Now it does take 2 turns, but with Stab and with the Sheer Force Life Orb combination, this hits super hard even if you don't do Hone Claws a couple times first. And the main point here with soloing these Tera raid battles is you really only get between usually 3 and 5 turns to set up and hit super hard. So basically the goal is to single cycle these terastallized Pokemon. What do I mean by single cycle? Well, in most of these battles, especially in the 4-star and up range, you get a Pokemon a little bit down on its HP, start whittling away, and it is going to negate all of the buffs and debuffs that you did, and also put up a shield to where you can't really debuff it or inflict status ailments. Now that's a problem, and again, if you're going to be doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these battles like I have already, you're going to want to try to make these faster. Also, the more time you take, the more likely it is for your Pokemon to faint, and then it takes down your time, and then it's just a lot faster if you single cycle these guys. Yeah, now for flying, I would still recommend Braviary, but we'll get to flying type here in a minute. The next type up, which is really the first type, is Fire. So I recently learned that Ceruledge, probably like Cerulean Edge, is fantastic for both fire and ghost, and he looks great doing it. Now, he has a very high attack power. It's almost maxed out right now. He's not level 100 at the moment. Flash Fire is kind of throwaway. The ability doesn't matter as much here, but he's got Bitter Blade, which is wonderful because it's base 90, and he's got Swords Dance, which is great because you can use that 3 times, max out your attack stat, then do Sunny Day, add an extra, I think it's like 30 to 50% for fire type moves, and then Bitter Blade, which will also heal you. So if you find you're running out of HP and you're like, oh, I'm still buffing, quick little Bitter Blade, get back to business, and then hit him super hard. So super good. Also Shadow Claw having a high crit ratio, also going off of physical, Sword Dance being a buff here. It's just really, really good. Next type up is Slowking. Now, unfortunately, there aren't too many water types that are big boy busters in this game. I have not got this guy's IVs or EVs quite perfect yet. He does have the right nature. I tried to make sure to have the right natures on everybody. And if you don't quite have the right nature, again, these Tera raid battles are a great way to get those items, which are the mints. Now, you typically get these maybe 1 or 2 per raid battle, and it'll just tell you what it does essentially for the nature. Just give it to the Pokemon and it will change the Pokemon to that nature. So typically if you have a special attacker, you're going to want to do Modest Mint, and if you have a physical attacker, you're going to want to do Adamant, which I don't have right now because I used them all up. But with Slowking for water, I basically picked him because he's kind of the best and my favorite out of the Slowpoke line that's available in Scarlet and Violet. I do prefer Galarian Slowbro, I would say, or Mega Slowbro, but you can't use them in this game. Giving him the Mystic Water to get extra water damage out of him, and Oblivious is pretty nice because he won't get affected by Taunt, which does happen in raid battles fairly often. But basically Nasty Plot to get his special attack up 2 stages per use. So like Swords Dance, use it 3 times, you're at maximum. Rain Dance to get an extra, it's somewhere between 30 and 50% out of water type moves. Surf, just powerful, more accurate than Hydro Pump. And Slack Off to get some HP back in case you need to heal along the way somewhere. You can also do the Cheers in the raid battles for healing, which does restore HP. As a bonus, it also removes any status ailments from all 4 of the participating Pokemon. So, very nice benefit there. Again, his special attack is not at maximum. I believe it maxes out at just under 400, I want to say. I will check that real quick. And yes, if you max it out, it is actually at 328. But with all those buffs stacked together, that's going to be more than enough. And, Slack Off will help keep him alive. So that's great. Plus, he's got pretty good defense stats all around. So yeah, let's get on to the next type. But again, some of these types are not really necessary for any kind of particular setup. I don't usually use water as an offensive type for raid battles because there are other alternatives. And yeah, water just, it doesn't come up as much. The next one up is Electric, and this one's kind of a cheat because I chose Miraidon, which you can't even get a Miraidon until basically the post-game. If you're not in the post-game yet, I would go with Iron Thorns. I'll get to more of that in a minute because he is definitely the #1 pick for Rock. But for Electric, Miraidon is kind of the best, kind of where it's at. Partially because his stats are just great. Really, really good. Hadron Engine saves you a lot of time because as soon as he comes out, electric terrain goes down, and special attack is boosted on electric terrain with the ability. You also got parabolic charge, which is basically like a not quite as good Giga Drain, but you have 20 PP for it. He does not get Nasty Plot, but Metal Sound is almost the same thing. It's got 85 accuracy, so not quite as good. But for most raid battles, you just throw them in, immediately do Electro Drift, and they're dead. Electro Drift is fantastic. Stacks with Hadron Engine, and boost more than usual if it's super effective. Why would you not be using it if it's not super effective? It just all stacks together to be incredibly powerful, and I'm having him hold the magnet for another 10-20%, whatever it is, for electric damage. So next type up on the list would be Grass, and for this one I chose Leafeon, although if you want a special attacker, I would say go with, where is he? Arboliva? Arbor, Olive, it's an olive tree. And he's got very, very good, and these are by no means maxed out. I just caught this one in like a 5-star raid, I think is what it was. Yeah, special attack is pretty good. But yeah, it maxes out very, very high. He's got a bunch of great moves. I mean, Leech Seed, Giga Drain, Seed Sower ability is fantastic because it just puts grass terrain on the ground. Grassy terrain boosting the power of grass type moves, also giving you some HP back on every turn. Give him a Miracle Seed on top of that. He's really good. But I chose personally Leafeon because I love Leafeon. Leafeon has Leaf Guard, which is fantastic. Give him a Miracle Seed for extra damage. Leaf Guard, you can't get a status ailment in Harsh Sunlight, and that's kind of the crux of this. So Leaf Blade is for damage. It's got a high chance of crit, base 90, 100 accuracy, really good. Sunny Day to make sure Leaf Guard is in effect. Synthesis will restore, I believe, 75% of HP in Harsh Sunlight. Again, Sunny Day benefit. And then 3 Swords Dances will get you to max attack power, which 299 is not maxed. Max attack power for Leafeon, just gonna check it out real quick to give you guys a solid number. It is 350, so it's a little bit lower than what it could be, but still, it's in that sweet range of between 300 and 400. That's kind of what you want. And of course, really good defense and special defense, and just, he's good. He's good. So, next up we have Ice type, which is this guy. I didn't know how good he was until recently, Titan, where his HP isn't even maxed, and it's almost at 500, attack at 334. Again, he's got Sheer Force. I'm pretty sure it's his hidden ability, Life Orb, so he's getting that 70% increase for applicable moves. And yeah, he gets Belly Drum, which is only an egg move, but still, I think you get it from breeding with Zangoose. And then Yawn, which I believe is also an egg move, which is acquired from tons of different Pokemon. I think this one's from my Hippowdon. And then Rest to get all HP back. And then you can just do the Cheer for healing, which removes status ailments and gives you a little bit of HP back. So wake back up, you're at max damage, and Icicle Crash, which is affected by Sheer Force. So you're getting that 85 plus stab, the 70% increase, and just maxed attack. It's really, really powerful. And he's got plenty of HP to stay through the whole raid battle, so he's great. He's super good. Oh, and for base damage, Avalanche with a slow Pokemon is technically higher at base 120. Icicle Crash is at 85, but with that 70% increase, Icicle Crash is higher than 120, and Avalanche is not boosted by Sheer Force, so it doesn't trigger that 70% increase. So that's the difference there. Next type up is Fighting, and for Fighting is actually a guy that got a recent change that makes him way better, and that is Gallade. Gallade, again, he's in that sweet spot. He's not maxed out yet. He's at 368 attack with that adamant nature and sharpness. His new ability is called Sharpness, and it's very, very good. Powers up slicing moves by, I believe, a whopping 50%. It's also got Sword Dance, which is great. If you start running low on HP, Drain Punch definitely helps out. And Sacred Sword is a fantastic move, and it's so is Psycho Cut. And both of these are boosted by Sharpness, and both of them are Stab. So, Sacred Sword, target's stat changes don't affect the damage inflicted by this move. So this is incredibly helpful, especially if the Terastallized Pokemon has used Iron Defense or something similar to where it's boosting its defense stat. Does not matter. It is going to deal the damage it is supposed to deal, and that's just great. And Psycho Cut is only base 70, but it has a high crit chance, and it is being boosted by Sharpness, and I believe it's the only Psychic move that ticks both of those boxes for Gallade. So, personally, I have the black belt on him right now. I usually have the expert belt on him, just to boost any super effective attack. Another solid choice would be the Muscle Band, which kind of does no, it doesn't do the same thing. It boosts any physical attack. So, he's a physical attacker, it's just a good hold item for him. Alright, next up is Gengar for not Ghost, but Poison. Now, there aren't really any poison sweepers in this game, and this Gengar is definitely not up to snuff. I just caught him like a little bit ago in like a 5-star raid, I believe. But yeah, so right now he has Wise Glasses because he's a special attacker, and Cursed Body, not necessary, but it is a nice little bonus because if he takes damage, that move might get disabled, which is pretty sick. And he has a lot of different moves to choose from. I chose him because he's got Nasty Plot, which is great, just buffing that special attack. Giga Drain, which, you know, great, base 75, gets half of your stuff back. Acid Spray, which also deals base 40, is Stab, and also lowers the target's special defense by 2 stages. So you can raise your special attack by 2 stages and lower the target's special defense by 2 stages. And then when you're all ready to hit super hard, Sludge Bomb, base 90, Stab, super good. And I believe his special attack does top out at about 360, something like that. No, it's right under 400. It's like 390 something. But yeah, super good, especially for Poison. If you want to use him for Ghost, that's fine. Personally, I would use Roulege, but he gets Shadow Ball as well, so you could use him for Ghost as well if you want to. Next up, I believe, is Ground, which is why I'm talking about Garchomp. Yes. So, Garchomp, pretty good. 4 times weak to Ice, so he's not my favorite. But he's got Sand Veil as an ability, pretty good, and Soft Sand to get that extra ground type damage. Sand Veil makes him more likely to dodge attacks during a sandstorm, so also giving him Sandstorm. He's also got Sword Dance and Earthquake, base 100. You know, it's Earthquake. It hits really hard, and his attack is not fully maxed out yet, obviously, either. If you want to use him for Dragon as well, also physical, you know, Dragon Rush is great, except for the accuracy problem. and can flinch if you're going first. It's a good move. Only downside is that accuracy, really, pretty much. And next type up is flying. Already touched on this earlier. Braviary, again, just make sure he's got that life orb. Currently being held by Titan over here. But yeah, you're going to get that 70% increase from the sheer force life orb combination. Sky attack is just going to wreck shop. If you need more power out of it, Hone Claws probably like 2 or 3 times beforehand. It only does 1 stage of attack per buff, but he can't get Swords Dance. So, you know, it is what it is. Alright, next type after flying is Psychic. And for Psychic, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about why Espeon is fantastic. Espeon's hidden ability is Magic Bounce. So, not just blocking status moves, reflects them. Espeon also has really high special attack, really good special defense. The physical defense and HP are the detriments here. So you might want to offset those a little bit, or do what I did with give it Reflect. So with Reflect, I believe it cuts all physical damage in half that are coming towards it. Really great. And then Calm Mind, which does special attack and special defense, 1 stage each. Pretty good, so use that 3 times and you get 6 stat changes. And then Physical Psychic terrain, the opposite, will increase physical... Okay, so priority moves don't work, that doesn't matter as much. Psychic type moves get boosted by like 30 to 50%, somewhere in there. And then Stored Power. Stored Power is the most broken move in the game, not gonna lie. If you happen to buff all 6 stats of your Pokemon to the max, and its stab, I think, it maxes out at 860 base power. It's ridiculous. However, you won't get enough time to set that up necessarily. So with Calm Mind, it's only 1 stage each, but it does increase special attack as one of them. So even if you just do that 3 times, it's doing those 2 stats every time, so that is 6. And basically how the damage calculation works is you have... I closed it. Okay, so you take that... Here. You take that base 20, and it's multiplied by the number of increases you have. So in the case of using Calm Mind 3 times, that would be 6. So that is 20 times 6, 120, and then it adds a 20 on top of that. So 140. Now you have 140 base stored power, and it's Stab. You get an extra 50%, that's another 40, so you're at 210. If you're also holding a Twisted Spoon, that's being boosted by 10 to 20%, somewhere in there. It hits like a truck. Now, that's if you do Calm Mind 3 times. Now I'm saying 3 times because, again, usually 5 is about the max number of free turns you're gonna get in a solo raid battle. Reason why is because the other NPC characters aren't going to be doing much damage, and so in the Tera raid battles, they respawn based on how much damage they're taking for stages, pretty much, for most of them. So if you can hang back and just buff, this will do wonders. However, if you want to not use Reflect, take your chances. Maybe Calm Mind just like 4 times and then Stored Powered. Or 4 times Calm Mind and then Psychic Terrain and then Stored Power. Anyway, that would be 8. So 20 times 8 would be 160? Wait, 20 times 8. Yeah, 160, and then 20 would be 180. And then, anyway, it's a ton. It's a ton. It's super hard. That's the point I wanted to make. And you can use it on other Pokemon, like strategy that's been going around for a long time is Vaporeon, because it's got high HP pool. It can also learn stored power. It can also have Aqua Ring and Acid Armor to help keep it alive. Give it the Covert Cloak, so things like what's the common one? Oh man, I just ran into it earlier today. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's a great strat. It's really good. However, if you also want that stab bonus, you gotta use a Psychic type Pokemon. And personally for me, yeah, Espeon and the Reflect and Psychic Terrain, which is, it's just a great combo. Alright, next up we have, I believe, Bug. I think that's why Heracross is here. Yes. So, again, talking about those types that aren't really necessary, you don't need it because you get the coverage and effectiveness from other types. You don't necessarily need this, but Bug is a type in Scarlet and Violet. It's not represented very well, but it's there. So, what I would recommend for Heracross, because Heracross is the best Bug attacker for soloing Tera types, by the way, not for competitive, that's like different strats. He gets Swords Dance, he gets Iron Defense because his physical defense isn't as good. He also gets Facade, which is great because his ability Guts, he's so gutsy, having a status condition boosts the Pokemon attack stat by a whopping 50%. It's a lot. And then you have Facade, where the move's power is doubled if the user is poisoned, burned, or paralyzed. That is the same thing proccing the boost. So immediately, if you have any of those three, it goes from 70 to 140. And then you get another half, a bonus 70 on top of that. So you got 210 base power, 100 accuracy. The only downside is if you're paralyzed, it might not even work. But he does have a high attack stat. It maxes out at like 320, 330, something like that. And then he's one of the only bug type Pokemon that gets Mega Horn in the game. So also a stab Mega Horn. So 120 plus an extra 50%, another 60. So you get 180 with 3 Swords Dances. You might not even need the Iron Defense. I would start out with it, and then 3 turns for Sword Dance, and then on the 5th turn, Mega Horn, just end it. Doesn't matter who it... Well, it does. Because, you know, he's bug and fighting, 4 times weak to flying. Not great typing, but it's Heracross, he's great, so... next type up we have Rock, and for this one, surprisingly, I went with Iron Thorns, and I do not like this Pokemon. Like, at all. Coolest part? The cry. Sounds great. I hate what they did to Tyranitar though. I gave him the loaded dice, and I'll get to why here in a minute. He can be a first choice for Electric as well if you don't have Miraidon yet, but you get this guy so late in the game, it's pretty soon. Or if you have Scarlet, I guess I think you get the other one, which is not Electric type, so also a solid choice, honestly. But the loaded dice basically make sure that it's basically the Cloister ability, where if it hits between 2 and 5 times, it'll always hit 5 times. It's a hold item to do that same thing. So Rock Blast, 90 accuracy, but it only checks for accuracy on the first hit. So each hit is calculated individually. Each one can crit. So you see where I'm going with this. So 5 hits at 25. You got 25, 50, 75, 100, 125. Max out your attack stat first. And you're also getting stab off of each one. And also Cork Drive boosts the Pokemon's most proficient stat on electric terrain. With Iron Thorns, it's going to be attack, especially if you give it enough, protein to make sure like attack is the biggest one. So with all those together, Rock Blast, especially if you give it, let's say, some kind of hold dice. Oh, well, no, it needs the loaded dice. Never mind. I was going to say Hardstone. But yeah, you need a loaded dice. That is going to do really, really good damage. Then, of course, if the electric terrain is down, you've already done Swords Dance 3 times. Boost and boost to electricity. Thunder Punch, it's just the best physical one he can get. And, yeah, can double as a really good electric type. So, he's, I don't like his design, but he's got some good stuff. Alright, next type up, but again, rock, not necessary. It's good for what? Bugs, fire, and ice. There are other types to deal with those guys. So, next type up is Ghost, and again, Cerule Edge. I already talked about him. Enough said. He's great. Next type up is Dragon, and I chose Hydreigon. Why? A couple of reasons. One, he's got Levitate. Two, watch out for fairy types. If the Pokemon you're going up against has any fairy type moves, he's 4 times weak to it, so either try to Terastallize early or just use somebody else. Personally, this guy is a special attacker and a great Pokemon with great stats, and that's pretty much the reason here. He gets Nasty Plot, which again, increase that special attack even more. And if you're trying to use Dragon, yeah, Draco Meteor, base 130, 90 accuracy, not terrible, but you want to make sure you end the fight with this move because it will lower your special attack by 2 stages afterwards. And then he gets Dark Pulse, which is base 80, has a flinch chance, also special attack. It's just really good. For Dark, yeah, you could also use this guy, but I most of the time use Kingambit. Reason why: he's got Supreme Overlord, which is a new ability. It's his ability. It's pretty good. I don't like Bisharp. Again, 4 times weak to fighting. So I don't like 4 times weaknesses, but as long as you avoid any Pokemon that might have a fighting type move, you're going to be fine. He's got good defensive stats. His attack stat is like, it's not maxed out, but it's close. It tops out around 400. He hits Swords Dance. He's got Kowtow. Why can't I say that? Cleave, whatever. Signature move, never misses. Base 85. Plus, you know, with Stab, you get that extra 50%. It's great. Plus, he's got Iron Defense, which, you know, I wish it was Amnesia because, like, honestly, he needs special defense, not physical defense. Also learns Iron Head. Great Steel type attack. He's just got good moves and, yeah, plenty of buffs. That's what you need. Next one is Steel. And again, Kingambit works for Steel, but you could always go with Lucario. Lucario, kind of same situation, great stats, great typing, Steel and fighting. It's not 4 times weak to anything. I want to give him Metal Coat to give him extra Steel type damage output. Meteor Mash, which Kingambit can't get. Base 90, 90 accuracy. It's not 100, but pretty good. It can also raise attack stat after it goes. I think it's like a 30% chance, 20% chance, something like that. Also Drain Punch, keep him healthy. Also a stab move, Thunder Punch for type coverage, and of course he's got Swords Dance. So use that 3 times before you do any of them. And yeah. And I mean, hidden ability Lucario has Justified, which you could put on there if you want, especially for if you want to use them for double battles kind of thing. Inner Focus just makes it so he can't flinch. Also pretty beneficial. Last type, Fairy. Now, I didn't used to like Fairy type, but it's really good, especially nowadays. And Fairy types are not affected by Dragon type moves at all. And Fairy is super effective on dragons, so a very good counter to any dragon Pokemon, really. And Sylveon has incredible special attack, really good defenses, not very good speed, but pretty much good stats all around. Give it your hold type of choice. Personally, I went with Expert Belt for now because it just boosts any super effective attack. And Pixelate is a fantastic ability. Normal type moves become fairy type moves, and the power of those moves is boosted a little. They're being modest. Pixelate, here is the deal with Sylveon and Pixelate. I want to make sure I get these numbers right. Sylveon has a base special attack of 110, maxes out at like 350, so it's pretty much maxed out. And Pixelate, if it is a fairy type Pokemon with Pixelate using a normal type move, it gets a boost of 80%. Now this is massive because what is a special attack that is normal, that has very, very high, it's Hyper Beam. Hyper Beam at 150, right? So 150 base attack, right? With Pixelate. So 150 with 80% boost is another 120. So you're getting 270 base power. And Sylveon can't get Nasty Plot, but Sylveon can get Fake Tears, lowering special defense of the target by 2 stages. And also Misty Terrain, which prevents status ailments that might mess you up on your way to building up a wonderful Hyper Beam. So you basically got 3 turns for Fake Tears, buff or debuff, 1 turn for Misty Terrain, and then the 5th turn for Hyper Beam. And most of the time that will end your target. Hyper Voice is also very good. Normal type move is also affected by Pixelate, so you're getting that 80% increase. Very powerful, and you don't have to cool down. So if you're not doing a raid battle, pretty much Hyper Voice. But the whole point here is to hit as hard as possible in 1 turn. So yeah, Sylveon is really good. I did not know how good Sylveon was, like, until fairly recently. But yeah, so that is all 18 types. That is what I would recommend for each of them. And once again, guys, here is that list if you want to make a note of it. Yeah, thank you all for being here. Greatly appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And of course, before we get going, a very special thank you going out to the current Farts and Crap Show members, which at the time of recording is Novelis Draconis. But if you want to be incredibly awesome, support the channel. I'm keeping that in, that's funny. If you want to be incredibly awesome, support the show a bit more directly, and get in on those membership benefits like Novelis Draconis, check out the join button down below. Tier start at $3 a month, it's only 10 cents a day, gets you into all the basic stuff, including getting to vote on the series that get made here on this channel. So if you guys are a channel member, keep an eye on the community tab here on the channel, or youtube.com/@thefartsandcrapshow/community, I believe is what that URL is. And yeah, that's where you'll see the members only content, posts, and the polls to vote on the series that get made. So yeah, if you want to know if there is one, check the Farts and Crap Show Twitter or things, recent videos on the channel, stuff like that. I always try to keep you guys up to date on those kind of things. But yeah, it's gonna do it for now, guys. I've been talking for a long time, so I'm gonna take a little break, get a little warm liquid, and yeah, until next time, take care and have yourselves a beautiful day.